بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the fifth day of Ramadan. The selected verses today are from the fifth para, Surah An-Nisa, verses 36, as well Surah An-Nisa, verses 114. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. واعبدوا الله ولا تشركوا به شيئا وبالوالدين إحسانا وبذي القربى واليتامى والمساكين والجار ذي القربى والجار الجنب والصاحب بالجنب وابن السبيل وما ملكت أيمانكم إن الله لا يحب من كان مختالا فخورا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this verse, He ordered the believers to worship Him. And when you look at the word ibadah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will see ibadah driven from dhillah, humbleness. In the Arabic language they say, الطريق معبد, the road is well paved. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you talk about His ibadah, basically you fulfill three things: perfect love, complete submission, continuous fear. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated in Surah Al-Fatiha, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. It is you we worship, and from you we seek help. The ancestors, they say, the secret of the Quran lays down in Surah Al-Fatiha, and the secret of Fatiha basically in this verse. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. So we worship none but you. We believe in you alone. We worship you alone. And when we seek help from you. The first part of this verse referred to bara'atun min ash-shirk. The first part, you drive yourself out of polytheism. And the second part, basically, you confess that you have no power nor strength except the one that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted you, and because of this you rely upon Him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated that فَاعْبُدْهُ وَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَيْهِ. You have to worship Him and you have to rely upon Him. قُلْ هُوَ الرَّحْمَنُ آمَنَّا بِهِ وَعَلَيْهِ تَوَكَّلْنَا. Say, He is Ar-Rahman, the most merciful. We believed in Him and we rely upon Him. The believer worship Allah alone and seek help from Allah. And when you seek help from Allah, the first help you need to seek is to lead you to the straight path and to help you to fulfill His orders. Then the second help you need from Allah is to run your errands for your daily life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned to worship Him as well. They associate no partner to Allah, because the one who associates a partner to Allah can't be sincere. After that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Almighty, He mentioned وَاعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ وَلَا تُشْرِكُوا بِهِ شَيْئًا وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. Those who do good to their parents. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala combined between the worshipping of Allah as well doing good to the parents in various parts of the Quran. For example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. And your Lord decreed that you should worship none but Him, and you should do good to your parents. As well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated, أَنِ اشْكُرْ لِي وَلِوَالِدَيْكَ. You have to thank me and you have to thank your parents. As well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated, وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانَ بِوَالِدَيْهِ حُسْنًا. And we have recommended al-insan, the man, to do good to his parents. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam stated in the hadith أكبر الكبائر الإشراك بالله، عقوق الوالدين، قتل النفس، وقول الزور. The most fatal sins, according to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, are associating partner to Allah, which is called shirk, to be undutiful to your parents, and to murder the human being, or to make a false statement, or to make a false witness. Al-ihsanu lil-walidain, doing good to one's parents. You have to serve them. You shouldn't raise your voice talking to them. You should use soft and nice language the way you address them. And you have to fulfill their orders as long as there is no haram or prohibited thing in these orders. As well, the wealth that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted you should be spent on their needs. After that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَبِذِي الْقُرْبَى, and to the relatives. We have to do good to our relatives. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ الَّذِي تَسَاءَلُونَ بِهِ وَالْأَرْحَامِ, and fear Allah, the one because of Him you demand from each other's, and the wombs, the blood relations. Then the verse referred to doing good to relatives. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated, وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ الَّذِي تَسَاءَلُونَ بِهِ وَالْأَرْحَامِ, and fear Allah, the one because of Him you demand from each other's, and the kinship. Rasulullah sallallahu stated in the hadith, من سره أن يبسط له في رزقه وينسأ له في أثره فليصل رحمه. If you look for ample provision and prolonged life, then you have to maintain good ties to your blood relatives, blood relations. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after that, He mentioned taking care of the orphans. And when the believer takes care of an orphan, basically because of disability of that orphan. And this disability because of two reasons. Because of the young age, because there is no one else to look after his needs or to take care of him. And because of this disability, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala highly recommended us to look after him and to take care of him. When the believer takes care of an orphan, basically treating him fairly and treating him in a nice way, as well he has to guard his property and his wealth. وَالْمَسَاكِينَ, and those who are in need. And when you take care of those who are in need, either by giving them what they look for, or at least doing to them al-raddul jamil, to be excused in a proper way. فَأَمَّا الْيَتِيمَ فَلَا تَقْهَرْ, you cannot oppress the orphan. وَأَمَّا السَّائِلَ فَلَا تَنْهَرْ, and you cannot repel the petitioner. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in the hadith, وَاللَّهِ لَا يُؤْمِنْ وَاللَّهِ لَا يُؤْمِنْ وَاللَّهِ لَا يُؤْمِنْ. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying in the hadith, I swear by Allah, is not truly a believer, is not truly a believer, is not truly a believer. Then the Sahaba Ridwanullahi alayhim, they asked Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, who is he? Then Rasulullah sallallahu said, مَنْ لَا يَأْمَنُ جَارُهُ بَوَائِقَهُ, the one that his neighbor doesn't feel safe from his harm. وَالصَّاحِبِ بِالْجَنْبِ, this is the right of the friendship. Basically, those who are around you, they have a right upon you. And the closest friend to you physically is your wife. She has a right upon you. Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu, he had that glorious statement. He said, وَمَا أُعْطِيَ عَبْدٌ بَعْدَ الْإِسْلَامِ خَيْرًا مِنْ أَخٍ صَالِحٍ. وَالصَّاحِبِ بِالْجَنْبِ, Allah mentioned the friend by your side. And that referred to the right of the friendship. The friendship has a right upon you. And the closest friend for you or of you is your wife. Sayyidina Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, he said, مَا أُعْطِيَ عَبْدٌ بَعْدَ الْإِسْلَامِ خَيْرٌ مِنْ أَخٍ صَالِحٍ. The second greatest blessing after being a Muslim is to have a good righteous friend or brother. وَابْنِ السَّبِيلِ, the traveler, because of being away from his land and because of the difficulty that accompany with the traveling, and some they refer to the guest. They do good to their guests. وَمَا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانُكُمْ, and those whom your right hands possess. It sounds like during the time of the slavery, those whom you own out of slaves, you should take care of them. But this is a very limited meaning for that verse. If you are a business owner or a supervisor or someone that people work for you, then you have to do good to them. And when you do good to them, basically, you have to feed them from whatever you feed yourself. You have to dress them from whatever you dress yourself. And you cannot impose hard work upon them. And if you have to, then you do have to help them. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُحِبُّ مَنْ كَانَ مُخْتَالًا فَخُورًا. Allah doesn't like al-mukhtal, and Allah doesn't like al-fakhur. Al-mukhtal, the self-deluding ones, and al-fakhur, the boastful ones. Al-mukhtal, someone, he has kibr, pride and prejudice. He thinks about himself being the greatest. Therefore, taking people's rights and not fulfilling people's rights is not a big deal for him. But al-fakhur, the boastful one, he might be proud of fulfilling the rights of others. But the problem is, he doesn't do that for the sake of Allah. And basically there is no reward for him. That is the reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala combined between al-mukhtal and al-fakhur, the deluding, the self-deluding one and the boastful one. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لا خير في كثير من نجواهم إلا من أمر بصدقة أو معروف أو إصلاح بين الناس ومن يفعل ذلك ابتغاء مرضات الله فسوف نؤتيه أجرا عظيما. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, according to this verse, stated that there is no good in our private conversations unless these private conversations are about the three things. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned these three things: ordering of charity, ordering of good, or reconciling a problem between people. The act of good applies to two things: either to bring something to the people as good as they like or beneficiary for them, or to protect them from harm. And when you bring something good to people, it can be physical, like giving them sadaqah or wealth, and it can be immaterial, like giving advice to someone he is in need of it, or to drive a harm away from that person, such as reconciling or putting an end to a problem between people, such as husband and wife, father and son, and things like this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala concluded this verse with a condition: whoever does or carry out such good deeds based on seeking the reward of Allah for the sake of Allah, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will prepare for him or will grant him a great reward. Meaning, even when you carry out the best of the deeds but is not sincerely for the sake of Allah, then basically you will get no reward for it. So it is a chance for all of us to look at what we say and what we do. And we have to know that every single word we do not mean and intend Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because of it, then most likely it will be recorded against us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated, مَا يَلْفِظُ مِنْ قَوْلٍ إِلَّا لَدَيْهِ رَقِيبٌ عَتِيدٌ. Whatever say you utter, or whatever word you might say, then there is someone who will record it for you. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated, وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ. By time, man is in loss. جزاكم الله خيرا وغفر الله لي ولكم وتقبل الله مني ومنكم.